Hello everyone, HisRoyalFatness here, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are continuing the Soviet Meds 101 series today on my personal favorite of the bunch, the Object 140. I will of course be showing you the 3 consecutive live gameplay today, as well as jump into the characteristics, playstyle, and just why I love this vehicle so much. But for those of you who are not interested in all of that stuff, I will timestamp when the live battles start above, and let's jump right into the 140. Now, as I've already stated, this is my favorite of the bunch, and it's not because it's necessarily the best of the bunch, but due to how it plays. The 140 is a very interesting vehicle. It was at one point the best tier 10, so medium tank in the game, period. It was everyone's go-to super unicom tank. It's fallen out of favor a little bit since then, but I still love it. I have always loved the 140. I've never stopped loving it, and that's because of its playstyle. It has a very mobile, a very brawly, a very aggressive playstyle, and that's primarily because of a few reasons. Now, firstly, the 140 has a very, very nice upper front plate. Now, it's not infallible by any means, but under a brawling situation, under the right angle, under the stress of brawling other vehicles, you bounce a lot of shots off of the upper plate on this vehicle. Furthermore, it has a much lower profile, so it's a lot harder for vehicles with poor gun depression to even shoot the hull. Now, its turret armor, while decent, is definitely worst in class out of all the Soviet meds. Gonna be straightforward with you. Giant hatches, not even a problem, because people just pen the entire roof of the tank next to the gun, or they just load up heat and you just become a giant gray blob to shoot at. Yeah, so you're not going to bounce a ton from your turret, and for that reason, it's not necessarily the best hull down vehicle, which is kind of weird because tanks like the 62A, T54, T44, all of these other Soviet meds are all pretty good at hull down, but the 140 is not, and that's why I play it more aggressive, because you can't just sit in front of the enemy team. You have to be brawling to really utilize this tank max to its max, because it has great DPM. It has 6 degrees of gun depression, which used to be pretty decent for a Soviet med, but now the 62 is way better at that. But you know, 6 degrees is not the worst, but it's definitely not great. And so where this tank thrives is being aggressive and utilizing the fact that you have this good 55 km/h top speed, you have decent armor for brawling scenarios pretty much only, and you have a ton of DPM and a decently accurate gun, and it's very mobile and very flexible, and I play this tank the most aggressive out of all 3 of these tier 10 Soviet meds. And that's because that is the playstyle that I feel suits it best from my perspective. Other people may like sniping in it, up to you. But compared to something like the T62A or even the T22, I am the most comfortable playing the Object 140. And I play this tank aggressive. I'm going to be straightforward with you. Very, very much aggressive in this vehicle. But aggressive does not mean YOLO. 2 different things, right? So if you're going to play the 140 aggressive, you still need to be very aware of what vehicles you're facing, if you're going to get counter pushed or not. Are you taking the right fight? Could you die in this brawl? All these different things you need to consider when you are playing this tank, and hopefully the live gameplay today will be showing that to you. I would also like to show you the equipment I am running on this vehicle. I am of course running the calibrated shells, and that's because the 140 it has not the best heat pen, does it? Yeah, so not very good heat pen, sub 300s. I'm definitely running the calibrated shells for that reason, just to give it a little boost in that penetration. But I have actually experimented with gun rammer before, and to be honest, it actually runs very, very well with the gun rammer. And in a way, you can make an argument, if you're brawling in it and you're not going to be sitting in front of the enemy team, then you don't really need to run the calibrated shells. But from personal experience and personal preference, I prefer calibrated because, well, 0.04 seconds off the reload generally doesn't make a huge difference in a lot of scenarios. You could also run armor on this vehicle, but I prefer just to have those extra few hit points because for some reason it just feels more comfortable that way for me. And then everything else, you know, it doesn't really matter. And that's what I'm running on the Object 140, and that's kind of the playstyle of the Object 140. So with that out of the way, let's jump right on into the live gameplay. Alright, so here we are. First game, we are on Canal. This is a very solid map for a vehicle like the 140, and first thing we will want to take note of is the enemy lineup is extremely heavy. E100, Mouse, Super Conqueror, all super heavy tanks, triple TDs, only one WZ-120. So I'm going to make the assumption that, well, they're not really going to be sending any tanks towards this half of the map. Of course, I will be careful, but I'm going to be more aggressive on this side of the map, the medium area, because it's very unlikely they're sending mini tanks here. Now, there is a pretty good risk that if the enemy team play this correctly, they could just send their heavy tanks onto cap and have the TDs cover behind them. It's a very effective team strategy, but then again, it is a team game, so who knows if they'll actually do that or not. But I am going to be very aggressive with you here just to see what they're sending this way. Now, I am going to poke up here just to see if I can find any meds, and as you can see, there's the WZ-120, but he is in fact running away, not pulling forward. So indeed, you can see they have their heavy tanks on the cap, as I was in a way afraid they would do this, because that will definitely make the game harder for us. And oh dear, gun accuracy is not wanting to hit those shots. We're going to hold for now. I don't want to just YOLO straight on into their TDs. I want to see what I can spot up. First, we will poke down this lower alley and see if we can find any of their heavy tanks lingering around the middle here. As of right now, none have been spotted, but what I need to do here is our teammates are going to go down very quickly over there, so we need to find those tank destroyers, and here is the object 704. So we already found one of their TDs, going to put a track shot into him and just kind of pull up over here, and you can see that is what I wanted to do, was spot up their TDs. Now the reason I went low is they wouldn't expect me to go low, and because of that I was pretty secure to make that spotting run. Right now we're just going to pressure this one 704. You can see he does bounce off of us, so armor indeed is working there, and there is a Panzer and a Mouse up top over here. So what I think I will do for now is we'll just ignore these tanks, and I'm going to continue pressuring the 704, because if I can get at least 3, maybe 4 vehicles out of this fight, even if it means potentially my death, we do bounce the 704 again. Now with WZ-121 GFTR, WZ-120 does come back for me. We'll put a kill shot into this vehicle, and here we can brawl this WZ-120. Now this WZ-120 doesn't have gun depression. I'm going to use that against him, because he's going to have to angle upwards if he wants any chance of killing me here, which means I can get really up close and personal, and this is where the 140 just feels so much more comfortable than the 62A. Because the 62A's hull is so much taller, it's a lot easier for tanks like this WZ to really put shots through. Now he does get that shell through, good for him, but we are going to full health him in that time period, and that is where the 140 just feels so much more comfortable, is just in those trivia little brawls. Now we do bait the shot out of the Jagdpanzer. The reason I decided to not poke out fully there, even though I did not know the Jag was there, is I had a feeling the Jag was unspotted. There was a very good chance he could be holding that corner exactly as he was doing. And we can see the WZ is now kind of backing up towards me. We're going to pull forward and back up here. Do not believe he has fired as of yet, so I'm just going to hold here for now. We are somewhat winning this game. We're going to put another shot to the WZ, taking his tracks off, and he has just fired his gun. Now the question is, do we push in or do we not push in? Well, you can see there's clearly an E100 here. I'd rather focus this E100. He's a much bigger threat. WZ is pretty easy for me to deal with. Tanks like this E100, not so much. So I'm going to shoot the E100 instead of the WZ as of right now, because this E100 in a sense is preventing me from pushing on the WZ. Now the WZ has just fired his gun, so I'm going to actually pressure him. We're going to take his tracks off, hopefully. Not quite able to hit the tracks there, but I can easily just get to his side, and we'll try and make sure we're safe from the Mouse. As you can see, we are indeed safe from the Mouse. Going to put another shot to the WZ for a max roll, and we're just going to hug this right-hand corner, and as the Mouse has just fired, that leaves me free to start pushing in on him. So this Mouse is in the open. That is an ideal situation for a vehicle like the 140. Just because it's going to be hard for him to get me off of his side. And here's where we're just going to go for the ever popular Soviet Medium 101 tactic, the side hug. And you can see the Mouse can't even get his gun down far enough to shoot me here. And even if he does, like he does there, it's going to be too late for him. He's already lost way too many hit points at this point of time. And we're just going to pull around his other side and once again continue the side hug. We've done nearly 5,000 damage here. My only hope is that he doesn't high roll me here, and he does not. I do lose some HP. We don't want to get rammed here, and we should be able to pick up this kill pretty clean. And the 100 is clearly distracted up top, so we're going to start pressuring forward towards the C100. Actually, you know what? I take that back. The 100 has just killed our Waffenträger. I have 40 HP. He has 400 HP. So how are we going to get out of this engagement, and how are we going to plan on winning this? Well, first thing I need to do is get away from him. He has a better camo. Well, not better camo, but he has those bushes on either side. I will probably get outspotted in that scenario. He last saw me killing the Mouse, which means he'll probably expect me to be on this side of the map. I don't want to take a direct on engagement. Indeed, we do spot him up going down the mid, possibly towards the encounter cap. My goal is to take the slightly distance engagement with him. Now you can see he's actually pulling towards this side of the map, which is interesting, but I'm not going to be too worried about that. what I can do here is just keep pulling left, and hopefully he will not expect me to be right over here. He will not be prepared, and even if he does pull forward, I'll have enough solid cover to really deal with that. So we're going to hold here for now and just wait for him. You can see he has indeed gone on towards the encounter cap, which is good for me. We should be able to get him unaware. We do get him. He was not waiting for us at all, so he is now a one-shot. We have the advantage of now we're both one-shots to deal with each other. Now if he pokes forward here, we might be able to hit him right through his turret with a heat shell. I'm just going to take it easy for now, and I'm going to wait to see if he decides to poke forward or not. If he does not, that is fine. I do have time to work this engagement. I just want to make sure I'm covering my hull best as possible. Now I should be able to really outspot this E100 by a long shot in any scenario here, and my goal is to at least hit the one heat shell that will cause me to win this battle. So we're going to chill for now, not poke too aggressively on either side. The E100, as you can see, he is holding the cap pretty well, but he has pulled forward here, and oh, we bait the shot out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and this is going to be a really close game. He's shooting HE. We missed that one kill shot. I didn't want to overpressure here because he had adrenaline running. If he had gun rammer or something, he may have gotten the reload on me there. So we're just trying to figure out how best we can win this. He is shooting HE, which is good for him because that means he will win this no matter what, and we're just going to try and bait him out. That's my bet. Even if these shots have maybe a 1% chance of hitting him, if I can get him around the corner, we should be able to pick up the win. And okay, whew, that was a tough first game. 6 kills, 5,000 damage. I had to take it very, 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 very easy. Got a little lucky there as well that the E100 missed a shell, but as you can see, 140 is good at brawling, and that's where we did very well. By the way, good job to that mouse. He did almost 6,000 damage. But back to the 140. The 140 does extremely well in brawling scenarios. I was easily able to brawl that mouse. I wouldn't say 62A necessarily would have done better there, but I think where the big difference was versus that WZ-120. As you can see, he was bouncing off our upper plate. He wasn't even able to shoot our hull as well, and that's just the more angular, lower profile hull of the 140 that makes it easier for those brawls. And because I only took one shot from that WZ by the time I full health him, I was able to win that game just by taking that one shot. If I took one more shot from him, that game would have been a loss, and that is where the important difference is between a vehicle like the 62A and the 140, and why I feel like the 140 is a better brawling vehicle, even though its turret armor is a lot worse. All right. Second game, we are on Yukon. Once again, pretty nasty lineup by the enemy team. They have a Chieftain Mark 6 and an MXM454, IS-7, yeah, Gorilla. These are all very strong vehicles to deal with, and I don't necessarily want to wander off to a flank by myself. Now, the enemy team only have a Leo PTA, which means they will not be able to take corner if they go left. So I think I will try and spot up the crossing to begin this game with, but I'm not going to overcommit to one side or the other. I'm just going to spot up for now, right into this bush, and we're going to sit still because obviously this is not a light tank, and the only way your camo's active maximum is if you're still. So I'm going to wait here, and we'll see where the enemy team comes. Now, the good news is no one's been spotted yet, which means they cannot have too many tanks here, and as no one has still not been spotted, I think I am free to start pushing up. Now, I'm not going to want to overcommit, so a big mistake a lot of people make when they do flank vehicles is they'll overcommit without knowing where the majority of the enemy team is. If the enemy team are all sitting in their spawn and you YOLO into them, well, they're just all going to turn around and kill you. But as you can see, the majority of their team has pushed up past the encounter cap. They cannot easily just YOLO into me, and that should leave me free to pull behind them and get the farm I need here onto vehicles like this Leo PTA, like this Chieftain Mark 6. Now you can see they are both looking my way, so we're going to want to focus one target at a time without overexposing here, and we have a pretty decent crossfire with our team. Now, this Leo PTA, I'm sure, will eventually come back for us, as well as some of the other vehicles here, but for now, I am just putting a nice crossfire into the team, and this is where the 140 is good. You're hull down, and we're definitely annoying the enemy team. Now, you can see the Amex M4 MLE is coming back towards us, as well as the IS-7. They do not like getting shot in the side, apparently. Can't say I blame them, and here's where the Amex M4 starts being a little bit more aggressive, I think. But what we have done here effectively is taken the attention of, well, over half of the enemy team and all of their heavy tanks out of this fight. Now, as these vehicles are YOLOing back into me, I'm free to just push away from here. I don't need to sit in that, okay, I ran into a rock, but I don't need to sit here in the open and let myself get YOLOed by a bunch of heavy tanks when I can just run away from that, right? And it's much better for me to get out of here, not get nuked, and pretty much I just turned all of their heavies around to the wrong distance and then just pulled out of there so they couldn't fight there. So what I'm going to do here now is try and help our Gorilla 15 in the corner. As you can see, he's definitely getting pressured here. We're going to start by shooting the enemy's Gorilla. Auto aim kind of screwed me over there a little bit, but we should be able to easily fight tanks like this Gorilla 15 here. And I'm just waiting for a good shot on the side of his turret, hitting him for 500 plus, which is beautiful. You can see the gun depression is giving me some slight issues here. And what I think I'm going to do is push in on vehicles like the ST1. He is exposed and I should easily be able to put him into a crossfire along with our Gorilla 15 here. So we'll put another shot into him. The girl should pick up the kill in a moment, I believe. If not, it's fine. I'll just keep kind of holding here. ST1's still giving me side shots. I'm just taking it easier for now because this game is pretty close and I don't want to necessarily lose this just yet. And since that Gorilla is pre-aiming, I can't really do much about this ST1 at the moment. Now the ST1 has just fired and I think what I will do is take it very casually around the corner, take a shot from the Gorilla 15, and then pressure the enemy's Gorilla 15 because he is just fired. He's on reload for probably about another 8 or so seconds. Our Gorilla does put a good shot into him, and we're just going to pull around behind this Gorilla 15 here. Now, we will want to keep an eye out for vehicles like that Yag, but I should have cover by this log pile. That's why I pulled all the way out here. So I wanted to make sure this log pile would... Oh gosh, that was a bad shot by me. Okay, I wanted to make sure that log pile was providing me the cover I needed to just sit and stay chill. Now, it is a 3-on-4. The AMX is a 1-shot. ISA is low HP. They have a Yag somewhere in front of us. We don't want to overpoke that. We do get a shot into his lower plate, which is good for us. I am relatively hull down here, but obviously poking a Yag, well, that's just not going to be a really good idea for the best of vehicles. Even a 62A, it'd be very risky to poke a Yag Panzer there. What I think I need to do here is just get out of this crossfire. So the Yag's clearly pulled out, and we can see the IS-7 is pulling in towards the left. So we're going to pre-aim for this IS-7 as we're crossing here. We do get a shot into his lower plate as we're pulling into safety here, and my goal is to try and kill vehicles that are isolated. So this IS-7 is relatively isolated. He doesn't have much support, but as you can see, now vehicles like the Yag are pulling up, so we're just going to take it easy. And as you can see, the 140 is good at brawling, but you need to be very selective about those brawls. I was always very conscious of where the enemy team were, where they were intending to push, and where they were sending their vehicles. Now this Yag isn't quite pre-aiming, so we're just going to take the risk it for the biscuit, pull across the corner here, get towards this Leo PTA, and now we have 3 tanks looking onto us. So our Gorilla 15 really could be a little bit more aggressive over there. It's okay if he's not. As you can see, I-7's not paying attention, so we will happily pop a shot into his side. Here's where I popped that adrenaline here. We bait the shot from the Leopard, and we'll put a shot into this I-7, picking up a much needed kill there, and it's just this Yag Panzer around the corner. Shot into the lower plate, and we should easily be able to pull back before he has the time to pull into us. We have a Maxwell loaded, so maybe we'll Maxwell this Leopard. A little bit of lag there, but I should be free to push in on vehicles like the Yag, who has just now fired. Another shot through his lower plate, and we've dealt, once again, over 5,000 damage. Now you can see my game is being a little bit laggy here, but once again, an exceptional example of the Object 140 and how you should play it. Not an ace this time, but we still did over 5,000 damage here, and it was an excellent game once again. I think what we can really highlight about this game is you're 140, you're great at brawling, but don't just YOLO into every brawl, right? You need to be very selective of what you fights you take. You don't need to YOLO, and just because your tank's good at brawling doesn't mean super aggressive all-in brawl. I was very selective in my fight there. I was very cautious of what the enemy team was doing. Whenever you push into the enemy spawn or right behind the entirety of their team, always be aware of where their team could be coming from, because if I had stayed there, I would have been pushed on by 3, maybe 4 vehicles there. And all I had to do there in that game was take their attention out of the fight and then just push elsewhere. And that's what the 140 is good at. That's why having that 56 km/h top speed is so helpful on a 140. It really allows you to be a lot more speedy than something like a 62A. And of course, that hull armor is also very beneficial. So an excellent game of another excellent game in the 140. So let's jump right on into this third game, third and final battle here. We are on Mayan Ruins, and it's a much better lineup, I would say. Not as many scary tanks for me to deal with in this game, so I'm going to be pretty aggressive. Yes, indeed, K91, it is a video. And I'm going to be pushing on towards these bridges. Now, you can see we've spotted no one up, but I'm going to try and spot this little area because they sometimes do send tanks through the mid, and this is a good spot for the 140. As you can see, we are very much hull down. Only the smallest area of our hull is exposed here, but as you can see, we have not yet spotted anyone. So that tells me that, oh my goodness, okay, I just got tricked. So their team is in fact coming this way. They are just much slower about it. We're going to put a shot into this T95, making sure I am not exposing too much of my hull because he will easily be able to penetrate that. Now he does miss the shell there, and as you can see, my game is definitely still lagging, which is going to make some complications, and I don't quite have the gun depression to deal with vehicles like this E100. Now the enemy's T95 gets taken out, which is great for us, and oh my gosh, I have 50% packet loss. This is, oh dear. This is not great indeed. Good shot by the 183 there. All right, this might be a bit of a difficult example for the 140 as my game is being very, very much laggy, but I want to finish making the video, so here we go. We're going to put some shots into this EM100. I'm just going to hold here. I think our team has this game. Yes, the enemy team do have an equal score, but as you can see, their tanks like the E100 aren't really doing much. He's just sitting here and letting us pick up a free kill, so we're going to put a shot into him for the kill shot there, and I should be able to quite easily go hold down on these bridges and shoot vehicles like this ST1, and oh dear, this poor ST1 is bone stock. Now, not quite able to get the gun depression to shoot at him there, but we are now have the gun depression, and he might put a shot into us, not quite, and here's where I pop the adrenaline, and it should just be kind of a farm fest from here on out, and we're going to try and do at least 3,000 damage this game. I'm not going to be super mad if I don't because, well, the first two games are pretty great, weren't they? And here's the Yag Tiger. We'll try and put a shot into him. Not quite able to snap that shot in, and I think what I can do here is I can go for these tier 9s over here, or let's see, Yag Tiger's fighting the 113 GFT. I think that's going to be my fight. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to push down below. Now we might get shot by this Batchat or SD1 while we're in our crossing, not quite, and that leaves me free to just push behind this Yag Tiger here. Now we might take a shot from the Conqueror, that is true. We're going to track this Yag Tiger in place, and my goal is to just kill this Yag Tiger with the support of vehicles like our WZ here, right? So the Super Conqueror can't quite push onto us. You can see the 183 is pushing down below, so we're going to put another shot in here, and then we're just going to pull away from vehicles like this 183 and Conqueror over here and just get out of this crossfire, and that worked exactly as I planned. So now I am free to push it onto vehicles like the Batchat. So you can see when I'm playing something like the 140, I like to be extremely mobile. I like to brawl in this vehicle and push in and be very aggressive, but when I do it, it always has a plan, right? I'm not just suicide YOLOing into a bunch of tanks for the sake of it. I knew the risk of every single push, and I knew that the escape route I needed to make those pushes, right? So Super Conqueror and 183 are the only two tanks left. Now I'm not sure where that 183 is, so we're just going to chill out. Here you can see the 183 is indeed out of this fight, and as I am a one-shot to this Conqueror, I will need to be careful. Now the Conqueror has just fired. We'll put an HE into the rear of his tank, and you can see the 183 is pulling back for us, so I'm just going to try and run away from him. And we get taken out there. So I did kind of YOLO in at the end, but it was game over. We 100% won that battle. Great work to our team holding there. Once again, I think I did, close to 4,000 or so damage. So by no means a bad result. I was very aggressive there. I used the mobility. Yeah, so 4,200 damage. And GG to the K91 who did 3,000 damage. Shout out to you, by the way. I know you are a subscriber. And so, yeah. 140. Love this vehicle for its playstyle. Not because it's the best Soviet medium tank out there, not because it has the best of really anything, but what it is doing, what it's good at, and the play styles it can really suit is what I love about this vehicle. It's all about brawling. It's all about being the most aggressive of all three Soviet medium tanks and getting away with it. But that doesn't mean you have to YOLO and do well. To do well in the 140, you really need to be thinking a lot about what's going on in the field, very fast on your reactions, like the second game, rotations really quick, knowing when you're going to get pushed on, or knowing how to just quickly get into a spot, farm up the team and get out. It's what the 140 is great at. It's not good at sitting hold down all game and using your turret, because you're going to get absolutely ripped apart that way. It's all about being aggressive, and if you can master that on the 140, master your monitored amounts of aggression with this vehicle, you're going to love this vehicle. There's a reason out of all three of the Soviet meds, this one's my favorite, and it's purely because of the playstyle it suits. So thank you everyone so much for watching today's video on Soviet meds 101 for the Object 140. I hope you were able to learn a thing or two. Please feel free to like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. You guys are awesome, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.